Good evening, YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. Sitting in, where am I? Jackson, Tennessee. I'm at the Pilot over here. And kind of funny deal, but I got another driver that's here also. He was coming from Kentucky. I was coming from Pennsylvania. And oddly enough, we're both heading to Houston. Not the same place per se, but we're both heading to Houston with drops in Houston. He's then grabbing a load to El Paso. Then he's going to get a couple of days off in El Paso. That's where he's out of. For those that don't know, I have family in El Paso, and our oil field operation was in Carlsbad, New Mexico, and so that's kind of where you could say home is for the majority of the trucks. Me personally, I'm dropping in Houston on Monday. I decided to go ahead and sit and do a reset. I really don't have to. I could have kept going and just run day by day. What comes off on my 7-day gives me next hours. But I figured I'd stay here. The weather's cool here. It's comfortable. My driver was going to be here, so we had breakfast this morning. I got some brisket and chili cooking right now. It's kind of something I do every once in a while. I end up the packet I buy of brisket is like, it's 2 meals. And so since he was here, I'm like, hey, you want to try this? And he says, yeah, sure, why? And I'm like, well, I could do that, or I could do ribs. And he's like, let's try the brisket. So his clock resets like at 10 in the morning. He'll go ahead and move on down to Houston, and then mine resets later in the afternoon. So it means I'm going to run all night to make my Houston drop. But the good thing is I'll have a free and clear clock. Anyway, gonna review the load boards a little bit and see what's there. Not really sure what happened with Amazon this last week, but a lot of people were complaining about the load boards being really dry. It cycles that way. Don't know if there's any rhyme or reason. It is technically the slow period. And as I keep saying, guys, Amazon continues to add carriers. You know, if you're a new carrier and you apply today, by the end of the week, you'll be on the load board. And frankly, I think they do it on purpose. I think back in the day when you needed to have 3 trucks, it made it harder, and the market was a little bit protected. The statistics, the way I understand them, is less than 95% of carriers have more than 5 power units. And so I think by association, if you say you need 3 power units or more, that eliminates a lot of people. And having kind of a sheltered market that way meant the rates were better. You know, Amazon's not dumb, so they let everybody and anybody in, and it floods the market and it makes the rates go down. So just be aware. If that's what you guys are doing, if that's your plan to get into Amazon, just be aware. That's gonna affect your rate. Anyway, so I'm gonna review the load board here in a little bit. Go through a couple of different markets. I know on Thursday a bunch of people in the different groups were talking about the box truck loads didn't load up. And I do remember looking, and there was like 100 loads if I filtered anywhere to anywhere. I looked a little bit ago to see if it was even worthwhile trying to make a video, and when I looked, yeah, there was a couple thousand loads, so something might have happened there. I do know, I think something happened in the Phoenix market a while back, because I started getting emails, like a lot of emails from the Amazon representatives looking for trucks to fill orders, and in this case, it wasn't, you know, go to Amazon, go to the relay and book the load. It was reply with how soon you can have a truck there. They weren't even asking what your rate was. And I've replied to those emails in the past, guys. It's actually a good move for you when they do send you an email to reply and provide good service. We've done a couple recoveries which at least got me on emailing terms with someone. I never set up any kind of contract with Amazon because I'm not in an area that has fulfillment centers. The closest fulfillment center to me is being built as we speak in El Paso, Texas, but it's not available yet. And so, I since moved on. But a little side note, when you guys start to fill out your application and it asks you for your domicile, pick several that are relatively close to you. If you're going to do that thing where, I live in Phoenix and I just want to do box trucks in Phoenix, and that's all I'm going to do is box trucks in Phoenix, okay, no big deal. But if you're going to have trucks over the road and you plan on having several, pick domiciles that aren't, in other words, don't just pick Phoenix. Pick the next closest domiciles to you. For Phoenix, for example, it would be Tucson, Southern California, Vegas. I would pick those because what ends up happening is when they have recoveries, they'll send you emails, and when they're looking for someone to take on certain type of work, they'll send you emails. If you're not listed in those domiciles, they won't list you, and they don't know with you coming in if you're going to be there or not. So my domiciles are like El Paso, which it's pending because there's no location there. I think it was like El Paso, Alamogordo, Phoenix, Tucson, Los Angeles, San Antonio, and Dallas. Something like that. I think those were the domiciles I put in for us. So I have quite a few. And it's difficult, from what I'm understanding, to request to have a domicile added once you're in. Once you're in, they'll see, well, you only have one truck that you're working, and it's only working out of one area. Why are we going to add you, to other domiciles? Versus when you're first applying, they don't know. And so, why not add them? Add them, do them, and, you worst case scenario, you may get offered something. So, anyways, hang tight for the load board. I'll load it up, see what we got. Good evening, YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. I know it's been a minute since I've posted anything. I've been running a little hard and been a little busy. So I figured I'd take some time right now that I'm doing my reset. And if any of you have been, on any of these Facebook groups related to Amazon, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've heard it. Everyone's complaining how slow the load boards are. It cycles with Amazon. And this is notoriously their slow period. So anyone that's been busy up until now, you've been blessed. And it just swings that way. So I'm going to run through a couple cities that people have been requesting. I've done Atlanta multiple times, but it is a pretty active market for box trucks, and so I could see why people have that curiosity. Atlanta in general, guys, is not a good trucking market. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, you're wrong, just go by the truck stop, you'll see tons and tons and tons of trucks. And yes, the problem is you can't base what your market's like based on what your truck stops look like. The market in Atlanta is bad because people take these really good paying loads going to Florida, and then there's nothing leaving, and they end up deadheading to Atlanta to try and grab something meaningful just because there was nothing in Florida. And so then, even if Atlanta doesn't have a lot of trucking companies, what they end up having is a lot of transient people coming through trying to just grab anything and get, a load on board. Anyway, so 23 loads is all we show in Atlanta. It is the weekend, and so that may be reflective there as well. So the first one's actually from Chattanooga, Tennessee, which I guess is within 100 miles of Atlanta. It's a power only round trip, 269 miles for $1.87 a mile. The next load is 104 miles heading out to Macon, Georgia. Power only, $3.90 a mile. The next one is a box truck load, and this one appears to have multiple stops and ends back in Atlanta. And so even though it's a really cheap rate, at least you're not dead heading back. That's always my concern with box truck loads. So there's 706 miles, power only. This is another, it's what you call a tour, basically like a round trip. And that's at $1.82 a mile. There's 5,400 miles. This is a team load, $1.35 per mile. You know, to me, not hardly worth it. In 5 days, you make $7,300. I made $8,500 without it being a box truck load for half of those miles, guys. And I don't have to share my truck with anyone, and my truck's not running around the clock burning twice the fuel. No one really asks about teams or anything like that, and so maybe I should just stop commenting on it. I think it's just a really abused market in terms of what the carrier gets out of it. So here is another round trip power only tour. This one's 896 miles for $1.65 a mile. This is a work block. This is what they would call a solo 2 for $1,400, so it's like $700 a day, which, you know, I wouldn't do personally. And there's quite a few of them. These blocks are why you're not going to see a lot of local power only, because they're rolling them into those blocks, and the people taking those blocks for $700 a day are the reason why you're not going to get power only loads that seem worthwhile to you. Here's another 26-foot box truck for $1.86. This one is going out to post offices. This one isn't like the last one where it was going between their locations. 139 miles for, you know, $258. There's another block, and that one's even cheaper than the last. There's more blocks, and that's all that's in the Atlanta market, guys. Someone asked about Florida. Guys, do me a favor, when you ask me for a state, I need a city. Amazon's load board does not separate by state. I think someone also asked for Maryland. If I don't know what city you're in, I'm going to arbitrarily pick a city, because I have to. If I just type in Maryland, it's not going to show me anything. We have to pick a city, and then it'll show us like a 100-mile radius. And so someone said, what's Florida like? You know, I picked a city. It may not be the city you're interested in, but I picked a city. And as I said earlier, Florida is really, really bad. And let me correct this here. And so here is a power only load. It's got multiple stops, and it's a one-way, which is kind of weird. They started doing these not too long ago, but at the very least, it's almost $3 a mile. You know, I'm not in the Florida market, so I can't really tell you if I would do that one or not. Here is a 1,500-mile trip out to Fall River. It's cheap, but you know, if you end up in Florida with Amazon and you need a load out, at least you're getting paid to leave. So this one's at $1.69 per mile. I wouldn't personally start the truck for that, but that's my own decision. Here's another trailer required, 1,100 miles, heading out to Carlisle, Pennsylvania for $1.53 a mile. Here's another one, 1,190 miles, heading out to Imperial, Pennsylvania for $1.53 a mile. And there's 2,300 miles going to Jordan, Utah for $1.53 a mile. Now, these are scheduled out a ways, and so hopefully people have the patience and let those sit and let them mature and maybe get up to $2 to $3 a mile. Someone asked about Augusta. I had never looked at or looked to Augusta. Honestly, I'm not always familiar with all of these areas. I thought Augusta was much closer to Atlanta, to be honest, and I kind of thought when I did Atlanta it would cover it. And so since someone requested it, I went ahead and looked at it on a map, and it's like 140 miles from Atlanta, so I got to give credit there. It's a separate market, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I got a little distracted. There's a truck backing in next to me, and you know, I keep looking up to make sure he's not getting too close. He's backing in blindside, which, you know, personally I'm usually very impressed with someone that can pull that off. But nonetheless, I keep looking over, and it's interrupting me. My apologies, everyone. So okay, this one is a trailer required. It's going from a third party to Logan Township, 660 miles at 208 miles at $208 per mile. There's another one, same thing. There's one going to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. This is also a trailer required, and I'm sorry, that was $1.92 per mile. Here's another one going out to Lakeland, Florida, 528 miles at $1.94. There's another power only going to Logan Township at 208. Here's another one at $1.92. So here's the first power only load. It's a team load at $1.72, which is kind of surprising, but it's a one-way. It's cheap, but you know. So there's another trailer required at 733, heading to Illinois at $1.95. These will go up before Monday, guys. The trailer required loads always go up substantially more. These are loads typically where vendors to Amazon are trying to get their freight into Amazon, and so these tend to go up quite a bit. Hopefully people have patience and let them mature nicely. So there's an Illinois for $1.95. There's a Nevada for $1.72. There's another Illinois for $1.95, and these are all trailer required. $1.65 going to Illinois, $1.65 to Illinois. Here's one going to North Carolina for $2.62. Why is this one more? I'm going to assume because the mileage is low. Here's another one going to Illinois for $1.65. One going to Kansas for $1.82. There's one going to Texas for $1.50. Another one to Texas for $1.50. There's one going to Jersey for $1.74. Here is a block for $1,500, which, you know, that pretty much means you're gonna get like $760 a day. I wouldn't do it personally, but if you're looking to do local work in that market, you know, they bury a bunch of your local stuff in these blocks, so you're not going to find a whole lot of power only stuff where you could get 2 or 3 loads and make, you know, $1,000 in the day. Amazon's figured out how to not let that happen. So here's a load going to Concord, North Carolina, $2 a mile. There's another block for $1,400, another block, another block, another block. And so yeah, this is what Amazon's doing. They like it because, you know, they basically get to run you hard and put you away wet for cheap. So here is another trailer required heading to Jersey for $195 per mile. Another block, more blocks, quite a few blocks, and as you can see, they're cheaper. Blocks do the same thing. As they get closer in time, they will go up. That's the bottom of the list. And so if you're in that market, the person that asked me about Augusta, you do have quite a bit of, there's a vendor there that has shipments, is what I'm trying to say. So you have, and actually it's in South Carolina where that vendor is. It's not even in Augusta. So you got an 83-mile deadhead to even get to that. And so that's going to be the majority of your work, unless you're willing to take some blocks. And someone asked about Austin. Austin's kind of one of those places that is surrounded by, it's kind of in a triangle of bigger hubs, if you want to put it that way. Austin has Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. And so those hubs tend to cover a lot of that area. I worked the Texas area quite a bit, and the only load I ever got in and out of Austin was actually when I moved some rental units that Amazon got from UPS. And see, so there's only 28 loads. Your first one is a power only going to Lexington, Kentucky at $1.58 per mile. There's a box truck load, 220 miles, heading to Dublin, and that's actually from Cale, Texas, which, if I remember right, that's down by Houston. I could be wrong. And so there's a few of those there. Your box truck loads, that's where they're coming from. So here's a trailer required from Austin heading to Jefferson, Georgia at $2.08 a mile. There's another trailer required heading to Pennsylvania at $2.03 a mile. There's a team round trip, 6,100 miles at $1.33 a mile. Honestly, I don't know how these guys even pay for their fuel, but that's just my opinion. Here's a one-way trip going to Virginia, 1,300 miles at $2.03 per mile. There's another box truck load at $1.37 per mile. That's horrible. That's horrible, guys. I'm gonna open this one up because I know you guys think I beat up on box trucks too much. In fact, someone told me I should just let you guys get into the business, and I found the joke a little bit, or the comment a little humorous. I don't have the authority or the control to let or not let you guys into this business. That's not my place. I'm just sharing what I see and my little 2-bit opinion. And so this is what this load looks like, guys. So you're going to start where the number 1 is. Go make a drop where the number 2 is. Go make the drop where the number 3 is. You're up there by Fort Worth, Texas, right? And so you're going to do that and then have to deadhead yourself back down. It's going to take you 5 hours to complete the load according to them. Once the load's completed, you still got to drive back however many hours that takes, and you're going to do that for a whopping $326. I just don't see that as being smart business. And so, you know, like the poster said, no one wants to hear my commentary. I should just let you guys get into this. You're more than welcome to get into it. I'm just pointing out the logic of you're going to lose a whole day for $300. I could take a job consulting and make $300 a day and not have to buy a truck and pay insurance and have the liability and the maintenance and everything else. And so that's kind of why I put it that way. But, you know, it's just my opinion, guys. 230 miles for a box truck heading to Eastland, Texas, $1.48 a mile. There is another box truck at 238 miles for $1.37 per mile. There's 205 miles for a box truck at $1.47. There is another box truck, 230 miles for $1.48. These rates are horrible. 238 miles for a box truck, $137 per mile. Excuse me. $205 miles for $147. 185 miles for $161. 230 miles for $148. 220 miles for $154. 238 miles for $137. 205 miles for $147. This market's just not good for box truck, guys. 153 miles for $186 per mile. 230 miles for $148. And these are obviously still box trucks. 238 miles for $137. 153 miles for $168. 185 miles for $161. And I'm going to open up another one just to kind of point it out. So this one will take, according to Amazon, 4 hours and 50 minutes. And so again, you know, you're going to end up there by Fort Worth. And so if there's box truck market up there in Fort Worth and you can grab yourself a load to come back and pay your fuel and pay, you know, some of your expenses to come back, I get it. But I think there are people that think they can survive solely off of box truck, and I mean solely off of Amazon, and they're going to be able to come back and still somehow cover their expenses. I just try to point it out because I know a lot of you guys don't have access to the load board, and I try to share some of the logic that other companies would use and why other companies are not involved or are not interested in this. Anyway, guys, I got dinner cooking. I have another driver here at the same truck stop. I don't remember if I shared that or not, but I told them I'd make them some brisket and chili. It's kind of something that I do here in my slow cooker, and it should be ready here any minute. So I gotta run. I'll see if I can't maybe look at something again on Friday night. Oh, actually, Friday night I'm gonna be driving. Yeah, because my clock resets like Sunday at 3 in the afternoon, and so I'm gonna be driving tomorrow night. But I'll see about getting you guys out another review. As always, thanks for watching.